This is the second part of this story. If you haven't seen the previous part, I recommend that you do. You'll find the link in the description. 8. The next day, we see 3 individuals looking for medical supplies. They wonder why the entire city of Jiangping is empty when there are still 4 hours left until the decisive battle between the 2 sects. One of them, wearing a red ribbon, is relieved that the place is deserted, as the conflict could affect mortals, and the smartest thing to do is to flee. We switch to Yifeng, who is guiding all the citizens to a safe place to watch the fight. He doesn't know which families will be fighting, but he doesn't care as he will make money from the event. The citizens beg for binoculars to get a better view of the event, and the protagonist sells them for gold. After 4 hours, Ning and Lu come face to face near the mountain where the mortals are. The battle begins, they move quickly across the field, and Ning manages to land the first blow on Lu, knocking him to the ground. The disciples quickly rush to help the old man, but he stops them. All of them are far below Ning's level. Lu thinks that if it weren't for the book, he would have died from that blow. Suddenly, Ning asks the old man to show his magical weapon. Lu is frightened, as it was his only chance for a surprise attack. Ning quickly uses the soul-devouring sword and tries to kill him in a single blow. According to Ling's explanation, the sword can only be used once per decade after consuming several lives. The power of this weapon is enough to surpass any sacred object. Everyone starts mocking when Lu pulls out the kitchen knife. Even his disciples, who were not present at last night's meeting, doubt that he can win. Ning's entire family celebrates, believing they will win because they think the broken knife won't do anything. Ning approaches Lu, forcing him to attack with the knife. The old man was about to give up since the sword's functionality is to absorb spiritual energy. So if he uses the knife, all the stored power will be devoured, and it will become an ordinary weapon. He cries in desperation. Quickly, he intervenes, encouraging Lu to attack, as all his wealth depends on the binoculars. However, the protagonist is shouting at him without knowing who they are since he can't see them due to the distance. Lu looks at the protagonist speaking. All he hears is his encouragement. He thinks that he brought the audience to cheer him on in the fight. His morale soars, and he names he as his supreme god. Filled with courage, Lu runs towards Ning, delivers the first strike, easily destroying one of the souls of the sword and injuring Ning. The knife's power was so strong that it destroyed the sword, surprising Ling and even putting the land in danger. Zhu urges everyone to take advantage of the attack to kill all the Xuanwu members, but Lu appears to stop them. Lan questions his decision, but he tells her that he is silently watching. He believes he is there to prevent further conflicts and maintain balance, in order to keep the peace for all the people of Jiangping. After the fight ends, all the citizens leave the place to resume their activities. Later, we see the protagonist walking through a forest and encountering a girl named Peng Ying, who was his childhood friend. He approaches, asking if she came to see her best friend, but she responds that she was sent by her master to find a highly reputable man. She also reveals that she joined the Qingshan sect with some help from a superior, as it was impossible for her to enter even with high qualifications. But now she has fulfilled her dream of being part of the group and learning martial arts. She reveals that the only condition for joining was to never interact with another man again. Then she leaves to leave the protagonist alone. Peng meets her superior, who asks if there is anyone there. She responds that there is only one mortal. He scolds her to continue searching for the martial arts expert, and not to play with other boys. This guy's name is Yu. She clarifies that he is just a mortal who owns a cheap martial arts salon and writes meaningless combat techniques. He begs for forgiveness for talking to another guy, but he forces her to continue searching since finding the expert is his top priority. It turns out that Yu is an envoy from Xuanwu and is looking for the protagonist to kill him for helping the Qingshan family, so he must do it before Ning recovers from his injury. Yu realizes what Peng said, so he asks her for more information about that guy, as the descriptions match the person who helped Lu win. She mentions that he is just a mortal, so Yu rushes to find him, thinking that if he is an expert, he should test him against the Xuanwu family. If he doesn't turn out to be the expert, he can still serve to calm Ning's anger when he recovers. In the Xuanwu sect, we see Ning annoyed, scolding Yu Wuji for not being able to find our protagonist. Yu begs for his life and tells him that the only clue he has is that the expert is in the city of Jianping and owns a gym. Ning doesn't believe him, as he would have known if an expert was living in Jianping since he is the leader of the entire city. Ling offers to help find the protagonist, but Ning refuses because she and he have more important things to do. We switch to another scene where a young man named Wu Chen lands on the roof of the house. Ning tells him that he needs him and that this time there will be no restrictions on his mission. In his gym, we see Zhang worried about the protagonist because he hasn't been seen for days. Zhang enters his room and sees that everything is a mess. He thinks that he must be injured after meeting Peng, so he offers to help him. But he realizes that he was just cooking and drawing. He understands that Feng is not injured from a fight but emotionally, and he laments not being a girl. Zhang asks how he feels after everything Peng said, but he clarifies that they are just friends. Being in a romantic relationship only affects their speed in making money and cooking. He gives Zhang several books to sell because he needs to change the carriage for the next month. In the suburbs of Jiangping, a man begs for help, and Wu Chen silences him by ripping off his head. His goal is to kill the protagonist, and he believes that if someone like Ning wants him dead, then he must be someone strong and capable of satisfying him. An old man appears, advising Wu not to go to Jiangping. The man explains that he is on his way to the city to visit an old acquaintance and tells Wu that he is not allowed to disturb him. Wu tries to attack him for bothering him, but the man defeats him with a single blow because he is in a higher rank than Martial King. Wu Chen narrowly dodges the blow, and the old man is impressed that he was able to dodge it. He deduces that Wu is a cultivator of evil spirits and wonders what object he is taking out. He realizes that it is a sacred stone, an important treasure of an emperor, which should not fall into the hands of evil cultivators. He fears that it may destroy the city. Later, we see Wu somewhat injured, exterminating every gym in Jiangping in search of the protagonist, until he finally finds his house and enters, excited to face a martial arts expert. We are told that the sacred stone is an evil object used by the founding ancestor of the Xuanwu sect, which serves to kill immortals. The power of this stone is capable of tipping the odds in favor of the bearer. We see Ling questioning Ning about why she wasn't sent. He replies that Wu Chen has his sacred stone capable of protecting him from everything, so they can only hope for good news. In the protagonist's gym, we see Wu unleashing a wave of energy against the bulletin board, pondering the perfect spot to destroy the place. Suddenly, he is surprised by a golden aura emanating from the walls, manifesting various combat weapons. Chen takes out the sacred stone, but even with the object in his hands, he receives too much damage. He and Zhang come across the sacred stone and use it to seal a crack at the entrance of the gym. Later, we see playing Chinese checkers with the old man who fought Wu. He mentions that when they started, he thought they were on the same level, but in person, he can't gauge his level, so he concludes that the protagonist is more powerful. It turns out that they would meet from time to time to play, and the old man always tried to see through his cultivation to measure his power, but he never succeeded. He tells you that there are many secret techniques across the continent, but Yi's ability is unique because no other cultivator can gauge his power as a mortal. However, he clarifies that if someone had such a special ability, they would have to be famous worldwide. He questioned whether Yi is truly better than him, but his thoughts are interrupted by the protagonist saying checkmate. The old man comes across the sacred stone that Yi used to seal the crack and imagines that the evil cultivator who was there was executed. Furthermore, he deduces that Yi placed the stone there as a warning to all those who dare to challenge him. He proclaims he is someone who is in a power league far beyond all cultivators, as he wastes such a valuable object like that. The old man shows the protagonist his sacred weapon, which is a 7-tooth rake. He sought to impress Yi, but his illusions shatter when he tells him that it is rusty and should be thrown away. He comments that he already suspected that Yi wanted a favor but agrees to help improve his rake by taking it to his forge. Zhang enters the forge, notifying Yi that Lu wants to see him again and pay his respects. He tells them to wait and continues repairing the sacred weapon. Meanwhile, Zhu tells Lu that it is too poor of a place for someone to live there. Lu scolds her, saying she should show more respect. She has seen the power of the knife, and if he is angry, the consequences could be serious. But Zhu just dismisses it as an exaggeration. Suddenly, Zhu notices the sacred stone and exclaims that it is the treasure of Xuanwu being used to seal a crack. Lu ignores her and keeps walking, but she tries to stop him by saying that the protagonist's origins can be dangerous. Lu responds for her to stay calm and watch what Yi is doing. She looks towards the forge and sees a golden dragon surrounding the rake while Feng repairs it. Both of them are frightened and try to calm down. Zhu recognizes the rake and tells Lu that, according to legend, it is a magical weapon used by the 9 celestial gods to eradicate demons in Shengjing. They start taking his power seriously because no one should be with one of those gods. They realize that the owner of the rake is having tea. They are impressed by this because users of sacred weapons are above the rank of martial emperor. Zhu recognizes him as the madman who destroyed the 6 cities of Xianzhong but doesn't believe it's him since the legend says he disappeared for 30 years. The old man notices their presence and invites them to have tea. Both of them are confused when he calls Yi his brother, but they accept the invitation. Zhu tries to stop Lu, saying they need to deliver the knife quickly and then leave, but Lu tells her it's already too late. We see Yi finishing forging the rake, making it completely new. Both Zhu and Lu are amazed by the protagonist's power as he managed to restore a broken sacred weapon to its true power. It is revealed that with a sacred weapon in its true power, one can dominate the entire world. Zhu panics when she sees Yi approaching, and Lu asks her to calm down and look at Yi and the old man. The old man is impressed that the protagonist managed to forge a broken sacred weapon and restore the original power of the rake. He realizes that he looked ridiculous when he compared himself competitively to Yi. He tells him that if he wants the rake, he must pay, but he will give a 50% discount. The old man says he can't accept the offer as he gave half of his life to obtain it and he is afraid of losing what is left. However, Yi tells him that he can have it for free since it's just a simple rake. The 3 of them are surprised that he called it a simple rake, and immediately the old man bows to the protagonist. He is confused about everything that's happening, but the old man assures him that he will cherish the kindness of having the weapon returned for free. Here, we are given the name of the rake's bearer, Wu Yanghong. He excitedly says he will be at Yi's service for life and is willing to die for him. Lu and Zhu are frightened upon hearing the name, confirming that Yanghong is one of the 4 madmen who destroyed the 6 cities of Xianzhong. Suddenly, it starts to rain, and Yanghong makes the oath of heaven and earth. Lu is thrilled to be alive to witness the oath, and Zhu asks what it entails. Yanghong replies that the oath is a type of contract that can only be signed by a martial emperor. Once the contract is made, it cannot be broken, swearing loyalty to someone until death. Lu also tells us that Yi's base power must be too high for someone to make the oath of heaven and earth. Yanghong begs him, saying he will pay him for repairing the weapon. He takes the opportunity to ask Lu and Zhu why they are there, and they give him a gift. It is the treasure of their sect, a fire orb, and he seems to like it. But Zhu and Lu feel sad that he only sees it as a crystal ball. He tells them that he just finished writing a novel and will give it to them as a gift. Zhu grabs it and feels the great martial power emanating from it. She deduces that with these books, Lu was able to advance in rank, so she bows to the protagonist and leaves with Lu. Suddenly, Yi is interrupted by Zhang, who informs him that he has found the carriage, but the protagonist is scared to see that it is one of the most expensive ones. But he tells him that maybe after the journey, he will come back as a billionaire. Zhang asks what he will do, and he replies that it's a surprise. At the Qingshan Gate, we see Zhu and Lu fighting over the book, the old man trying to prevent her from opening it as he fears that her body cannot withstand the power. He also reproaches her for not believing him at first about Yi's existence. Lu recounts that in ancient times, Jiangping was the place where immortal families practiced, so it is a city with a lot of history. We return to the protagonist, who is in the Chamber of Commerce in Pingjiang. He meets a wealthy man who greets him and informs him that boss Mao is inviting him. He accepts and has tea with Mao, who pretends to be his fan. The protagonist reminds him that if he wrote more books, he should promote them and share the profits. But Mao tells him it's unnecessary because those books don't generate any profit. Yifeng leaves the Chamber of Commerce after Mao started insulting his books. At that moment, a girl named Yuna appears, asking if Ying is the author of the Red Mansion's novel, as she is his fan. Here we learn that Yuna has become addicted to the protagonist's books, but Mao fears that she is neglecting her business classes. Mao tells her that he will not write any more books. Disappointed, Yuna asks why, as Red Mansions made the Chamber of Commerce a millionaire. But Mao gets angry and tells her that the protagonist is just a peasant who helped him because he was poor. He also comments that his priority is to study business. The man sends several guards to take Yuna away and forbids her from leaving until she finishes mastering the business world. In addition to prohibiting her from reading more books, we see sitting dejectedly on the street, and Lan and Luo greet him. They ask why he is sad. After recounting the story for a while, Lan tells him that she didn't expect he to write popular novels in Jiangping. Luo gives him some fruits. She was about to tell the protagonist that Lan enjoys reading his novels a lot, but Lan silences her and they start quarreling. He is startled to see Luo becoming muscular again. He ignores everything and eats while listening to the sisters. Lan blushes and fantasizes about the protagonist being the author of those books. She didn't see him as the type of man who would write romance. Luo decides to help her sister, who is in love and proposes that they can publish the book in the Beifeng Chamber of Commerce, with one condition. He has to give Lan a kiss. The protagonist blushes because it's the first time he has been given such a condition. But in reality, it is to hide the fact that he has no experience with women and has always been single. Yifeng tried to kiss her, but Lan rejects the kiss because she believed that he wanted to engage in dual cultivation, a method achieved through kissing to gain more power. However, she clarifies that he can still publish the book in Beifeng. The three of them go to Beifeng and are welcomed by Yingxing, the site's president, who is also Luo's father. Luo gives Xing a hug. Inside the site, Luo feeds the protagonist to have him taste all the dishes they have to offer. Xing is surprised by his patience in dealing with Luo. He asks about Yi's identity, but Lan replies that she cannot reveal it. However, Xing must settle for calling him Mr. Yi. Xing deduces that the protagonist is the revered and praised great Buddha of the Qingshan sect. Quickly, he takes the opportunity to get closer to him and ensure that he feels comfortable. He also tells him that he will do everything possible to publish all of Yi's novels. One of the assistants reminds Xing that the Chamber of Commerce is dedicated to jewelry. Xing kicks him to make him comply and not argue. He expresses his gratitude for the help and then leaves. Several days later, book sales skyrocketed, and they were even marketed outside the country. Lan was reading the book when she is interrupted by Zhu, who asks why there are few disciples in the field. Lan explains that it's because of Yi's book. Zhu gets excited, thinking it's a cultivation book, and steals it to read it. The whole city is in a frenzy due to the popularity of the book, with people wanting to recreate every scene between the two protagonists. We move to a scene with Yu Wuji, who infiltrated Jiangping in search of Wu Chen because he hasn't returned for several days. They are worried that he may have died after encountering the martial arts expert. Meanwhile, the protagonist is cooking vegetables when a Beifeng assistant appears to deliver a golden card containing 100,000 gold. It's the total earnings the novel collected in a month, which surprises the protagonist, who celebrates finally making a lot of money. In the Chamber of Commerce in Pingjiang, the high-ranking officials argue with the president for letting Yi go. Due to this, the company's value decreased, and Beifeng's increased by 20% in just 1 month. Everyone blames the president, and he personally visits Yi to apologize and give him 1,000 gold as compensation for mistreating him and rejecting his novel. However, Yi realizes that the only reason the president of Pingjiang is there is to make a deal and keep the profits. They were trying to scam him again. Yifeng refuses the money from the president, who insists and offers increasingly higher sums. But the protagonist rejects each proposal and shows him the golden card. He states that he will no longer work with him and kicks them out of his academy. After this, Yi goes off to spend his money, leaving everyone in Pingjiang perplexed because the golden card from Beifeng can only be used by high-ranking members, and they were willing to give such a valuable item to him. Meanwhile, in the Wuingsu sect, Ling informs Ning of all the progress. There were no successes in finding Wu Chen, so Ling thinks it's best to consider him dead. But Ning refuses to accept this and sends Ling to accompany Yu with a swiftness scarf to find the protagonist and report his location. Ning asserts that with the scarf on, even if the expert is strong, no one would be able to detect whether the movements made by the wearer are real, thus avoiding the risk of being attacked. And that's how the second part of this story ends. If you've reached this part of the video, let me tell you that you've been one of the few people to make it here. So, comment the word 10,000 in the comments. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss the next part of this story. With that being said, see you in the next video.